So, Chick-fil-A is now woke. Have you heard about this, folks? This is surprising to me because Chick-fil-A is sort of, for a long time, was the conservative, right-wing, conservative chud poster child of a corporation there. But apparently they did something wrong, and now the Maga chuds and the Christian holier-than-thou assholes and all those other people have decided that they're just too damn woke and have turned their backs on Chick-fil-A. So what exactly happened is that they hired a vice president of DEI, right, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. They hired a vice president, basically, of someone to make sure that their staff was diverse, that they weren't just hiring white people for everything, that they actually went out and tried to do something, try to like get some color in those corporate photographs once in a while, right? Which is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But apparently this has pissed off all the MAGA chuds and they've gone completely fucking bonkers, right? So here's the thing. Here is the Chick-fil-A DEI statement. Committed to being better together. Chick-fil-A's corporate purpose is to glorify God. By being faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us, we have a positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. Our founder, Truett Cathy, believed that a great company is a caring company, and since the beginning, care has been at the center of everything we do. We understand that the path towards better together looks different for every business. At Chick-fil-A Incorporated, our commitment is to approach this work with intention and humility, always believing the best in one or another or striving for common ground. We're early on our journey, but we're honored by the opportunity to steward our organization's greatest asset, our people, and are energized by the road ahead. So that is standard bullshit corporate gobbledygook is what that is. It even sort of panders to the fucking like red hat wannabe, fascist crowd here to glorify God and all that. Because if you didn't know, Chick-fil-A is like run by conservative Christian evangelicals, and they have been for years. Here is the vice president of DEI for Chick-fil-A, Eric Reynolds. As you can see, he is black, which is pissing off a lot of the Chick-fil-A's former customer base. The God-fearing Christians seem to have a problem with this guy's skin tone. Chick-fil-A restaurants have long been recognized as a place where people know they will be treated well. Modeling care for others starts in the restaurant, and we are committed to ensuring mutual respect, understanding, and dignity everywhere we do business. These tenets are good business practice and crucial for fulfilling our corporate purpose. That sounds like something that you would hear from literally thousands of corporations around the world. It's meaningless corporate gobbledygook that doesn't mean anything. Meaningless that doesn't mean anything. I guess I didn't have to say that twice. But it's not a harsh or strong statement or anything. It's not like Chick-fil-A is like straight out saying here, fuck Nazis or something like that. It's not like they wrote that. It's just standard corporate bullshit. That's like, oh, we like people of all races and creeds and colors. And it's like, that's all it took to piss people off, right? That's all. This statement and that one that I just read there, that's it. That's all it took to get the anti-woke people to lose their fucking minds and to like shit their pants in rage over Chick-fil-A. It's really surprising because Chick-fil-A is, like I said, run by conservative Christian evangelicals who have a reputation for being homophobic. That's not a joke, folks. Let's turn that off. Chick-fil-A is like homophobic chicken. Like way back in 2012, the CEO, his name was Dan Carthy, right? He went on record against gay marriage at Chick-fil-A. And he said he believed in the biblical definition of marriage and all that stuff between two people of the opposite sex or whatever. And that was when the fight for gay marriage was heating up. People, and there was the usual backlash against that, right? People said, oh, we're going to boycott them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And the conservative chud crowd, they weren't Trump supporters at that point. They were still calling themselves Tea Partiers or whatever, but basically the same fucking people. they like went balls to the wall in support of Chick-fil-A, and it was like so much that on August 1st of 2012 they had Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day. That was coined by fucking Mike Huckabee, who was the governor of Arkansas, I think, at that point, or something like that. Governor Huckabee. Was it Arkansas? It was some southern state. I know that his daughter is the governor of Arkansas now, but anyway, former Governor Mike Huckabee basically coined Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day, and all of the Tea Party super religious asshole types went out on August 1st and ate at fucking Chick-fil-A in solidarity with Chick-fil-A's official stance that two consenting adults are not allowed to get married. Think about that, right? That's kind of, that's how, and all it took from that, from Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day to let's boycott them and drive them out of business, all it took was one boring, generic-ass corporate DEI statement. Since then, some video has come out of this guy, Dan McCarthy, talking about basically expressing white guilt, is what they call it, over racism. And here's the video of that. I want to show this to you guys because I think this is kind of ridiculous. But here's the video. This is the guy, Dan McCarthy. Let me turn that on. This is the same guy that, by the way, said that he doesn't like gay marriage. Right. This video came out. This is resurfaced, rather. And I think what's going on is that he's on a religious TV show, because you remember this guy's super conservative, super religious, right? He's on like some kind of like 700 Club style evangelizing kind of like TV preacher type show. And let's listen to what he has to say here, right?
With me by a dear friend who shared with me about a revival that was taking place at a church in Texas. And at that revival, on the front seat was an older African American man that was sitting there. And this young man got up that was there in that service, and he'd been so gripped with conviction about the racism that was in that local community in a small town in Texas that he took a shoe brush and he walked over to this elderly gentleman and he knelt on his knees and began to shine his shoes. And tears began to flow in that service. It was an attitude of conviction. So I invite folks to put some words to action here. And if we need to find somebody that needs to have their shoe shine, we need to just go right on over and shine their shoes.
So this video is driving all of these people nuts as well. They're saying that this is white guilt or whatever, right? Now look at what this guy's saying, okay? Because here's the thing, right? This is the CEO that, he's the one that got Chick-fil-A famous for being anti-gay. Just because you're a bigot against gay people doesn't mean you hate black people too. Right? And it's like, well, no. And he has the same stance that literally millions of people in this country have, where they're not racist per se. Still, they're bigoted in other ways towards other people. In his case, he doesn't believe in gay marriage, but is totally cool with black people. I mean, that's millions of people are like that, right? Millions of Christians have that stance in this country as well. They're otherwise nice people. They just have hang-ups about LGBTQ rights because of their religion. Their religion says so. So they think they're doing the right thing. They think, oh, well, God wants me to be against this. And they may even say to themselves in their heads, well, I'm not bigoted against gay people at all. I love gay people. I love everybody. But Jesus told me to stand against gay marriage. They may even say that in their heads. That's what's going on with this dude, right? He's an otherwise decent person who just has this one religious hang-up because of his religion, which, I'm not making excuses for the guy. It's still bullshit. He should be intelligent enough to understand that religious-based bigotry is still bigotry. And he's not. He's letting his religion blind him into the harm that he's causing with his anti-gay stance, right? So I'm not making excuses for the guy. All I am saying is that not everybody who stand opposite you politically believes in all of the same things. You know, that's a fallacy that a lot of people fall into. They go, well, if this guy doesn't like, that must mean he must also be a racist too. It must mean he must be a Nazi also. It's like, no, that's not necessarily the case. He's not a Nazi. He's not racist. He just doesn't like gay people because of his religion, right? Well, that's all that took. So people are seeing this and they're saying, oh, well, this guy's got white guilt or whatever. And so they're flipping out over that because he expressed, right, some he expressed misgivings about racism that his fellow Christian member of his church was experiencing in Texas, which is not the most progressive of places. His crowd are going absolutely fucking nuts. So here's some reactions to that. Because they of course once they find one thing, they start digging around and finding other shit, and that's why they found this video. So here's some reactions. This is probably the biggest one I've seen so far. This is Joey Mariano, which I have no idea who this person is, and I don't give a fuck. We have a problem. Chick-fil-A just hired a VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This is bad, very bad. I don't want to have to boycott. Are we going to have to boycott? Right? That's what this guy wants to boycott Chick-fil-A. And then if you look at his next one, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this on Twitch or YouTube. It's only a matter of time until they start putting the T-slur, semen in the frosted lemonade at this point. Like, wow. I mean, and you saw, this is all there was. All there was that diversity statement and the DEI VP that they hired who put out one fucking statement. Right. And then already you see how hard they turn against you just for saying what it's like, just crossing that line that they put. And suddenly people just start making up shit like this. Like, oh, we're going to start putting semen inside of the frosted lemonade. I don't know. I actually have avoided eating at Chick-fil-A myself for the past decade because of their stance on gay marriage. I really haven't eaten there. Right. Maybe I might go there now. I don't know. Maybe I'll check out Chick-fil-A. Right. Probably not because, fuck Chick-fil-A. But still, frosted lemonade actually sounds pretty good right now. I mean, this just kind of blows me away. It's like the 180 that these people have taken just in this short amount of time. Here's Charlie Kirk. As we all know, Charlie Kirk is going balls to the wall against Target for their support of Pride Month. Charlie Kirk, the blueprint: pressure and demonize right-wing companies to make them either go bankrupt or become one of your own. Look at Chick-fil-A. A decade ago, the left hated Chick-fil-A. They wanted to crush them. Now Chick-fil-A is bragging about DI statements and groveling for New York Times support. If they can't break you, they make you join them. This is how they operate. That kind of sounds to me that is how the right wing operates. If you can't break you, they make you join them. It kind of sounds to me like Charlie Kirk wants to break Target, wants to break Anheuser-Busch, and now is thinking about threatening Chick-fil-A. Right? I mean, that kind of is how a boycott works, by the way. Is you try to, that's what the whole point of a boycott is that, you influence a company by not giving them their money and by protesting them and shit so that they change their policy. That's the entire point. So I don't see how it's bad if people on the left do it against a company. If that's what Charlie Kirk seems to be quickly reinventing himself as some kind of fucking right-wing boycott warrior. Kind of ridiculous. Here's somebody named Raymond Small. I think this guy is just a rando on Twitter. Raymond Small. Go woke, go broke, they have lost my business. Literally all it took, folks, right? All it took, remember, one statement, one DEI hire, and suddenly this guy is never going to eat at Chick-fil-A ever again. I like this dude's name here. Sith for Christ. Using the power of the dark side of the Force, but for Jesus, huh? Somebody is confused. Moving on. Another one from Raymond Small. I'm sure that both Anheuser-Busch and Target felt the exact same way about a single individual shopper. However, there were and are enough very devoted Americans who are so damned sick and tired of DEI being shoved down our throats and are ready to go elsewhere to do business. I love how conservatives often use that metaphor, shoved down our throats, when it comes to pride, or in this case DEI. It's like we're shoving that, like DEI in this case is like a huge sort of phallic object that is just forcibly being shoved down Raymond Small's throat, like he's being, mouth fucked with a diversity at this point against his will or something. Like that's the image that it invokes. Oh my god, and it really shows like what these people really have on their minds. you know, like you could have said shoved in my face, not shoved down my throat. It's like no one is fucking mouth fucking you with diversity, you fucking idiot. I don't know. Moving on. I think this is another rando named William Saber. I don't think he's anybody important. Just lost my favorite to-go chicken restaurant. Chick-fil-A decided to cave to the racist bullshit. I will never shine the shoes of anyone. I don't owe a black person anything. I'm sick of this sickness. Weak people should be removed from society. Fuck Chick-fil-A. Fuck the weak. And the weak. I guess he means by weak, like what exactly was weak about what that guy said? We saw it because we watched, the video we just saw where the guy said, "Oh, you should go shine the shoes." Like, what was he? What exactly was he saying? He was saying you basically that video said you should support the victims of racism in your community through your own actions. You should try to offset some of the damage done by racism. That's a good message. Yeah, the guy is an insane right-wing conservative Christian, evangelical who spends millions of dollars against LGBTQ causes, right? That's true. But what he said there is a good message. You should be doing that. You don't have to be, it's great, I think, that churches are acknowledging that racism is bad. I think that's great. That's what churches should be doing, in my opinion. Churches should not be trying to enforce their fucking religion and like pass laws to make other people obey their religion. Churches should not be doing that. Churches should be using their own power of their religion to make the world a better place. And I think that's a good thing. It's like maybe if this guy would focus on that shit and leave gay people alone, I might consider eating at his restaurant. Right? But I just like how but how does the MAGA crowd interpret this? How do the batshit insane conspiratard assholes who lose their fucking minds over the slightest mention of anything anti-racist, how do they interpret that as being weak? The fact that the guy thinks that racism is wrong makes him weak. Remember, these people are fascists. This is fascism that we're fighting here. Here's a guy named Windows 98 Alpha 3, which shows that maybe this dude needs to update his operating system. A shame. Chick-fil-A has been getting hate from bad actors for years. Wonder what made them cave all of a sudden. Probably bad actors infiltrated. Either way, RIP Chicken Shop. Popeyes, here I come. It's all a conspiracy, folks, right? Oh, bad actors infiltrated. It must be Antifa secretly going out and getting jobs at Chick-fil-A that turned them woke or some shit. Yeah, it's got to be a conspiracy, right? It can't just be a corporation realizing that, hey, people who are not white also have money and we should be trying to get some of that money. It can't be that. It has to be some conspiracy, right? By I don't know what the baby blood drinking cabal or some shit, you know. I mean, that's all these. Let's remember that, right? Corporations, they just want to make money. Corporations don't give a fuck about any of this woke shit. They don't. You think Target cares about pride? Like, no. You think Anheuser-Busch cares about, trans rights? Fuck no, they don't care. You think Chick-fil-A actually really gives a fuck about diversity? Fuck no, they don't give a fuck about diversity. What do they care about? They care about money, right? Well, they want to get some money from people who they realize out there that black people and gay people and trans people have money, so they want to market to them. Well, how do you market to those people, right? Well, you show them that, hey, we're on your side. And all of these, because we live during a politically charged time. I think ultimately that's a good thing. We're always talking about representation, like, because a lot of people on the left will say, like, oh, this is just exploitive and blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Capitalism is exploitive. We live under an exploitive society. Capitalism, by definition, is exploitive, right? But it's not always a bad thing, right? In this respect, I think it's positive that, because we're talking about representation. What better sign of representation is there when a company like Anheuser-Busch or Chick-fil-A or Target are marketing to your demographic? I mean, there's no greater sign of like, hey, you're being accepted in society, right? There's no better way to normalize something than to put out a whole shitload of commercials and like exploit it commercially. I mean, seriously, that's what makes shit normal, is commercial exploitation. Like, when did rap music... Here's a perfect example, right? Rap music, back in the early 80s, used to be edgy. Just rap music at all used to be like edgy, kind of like taboo sort of thing, and only dangerous people listened to rap. Rap didn't become normalized until it became commercialized. Until you started seeing Chicken McNuggets doing like rap music in their commercials and stuff, then it became normalized. Then it became normal to listen to rap music. There's nothing different here. It's not different at all. Now you'll see commercials with gay people in them. Now you'll see commercials with trans people in them, eating Chick-fil-A sandwiches and drinking beer. You're drinking Anheuser-Busch and shopping at Target. That sounds like acceptance in your society to me. Like, how else do you want to be accepted? Right? What other ways? I mean, of course you could always have, actual equal rights and economic activity and all that shit, blah 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 blah, of course, yeah. But this is part of being accepted by society as well. I don't know, am I wrong here? I don't see how I'm wrong. Moving on. A couple more of these, then we'll call it a night. Here's one by The Dave. I really don't believe this is true. They, the fake media, try to stick Bass Pro Shop out there at us. I don't think the God-fearing closed on Sunday Chick-fil-A is going to do this. They had better not. So it's a conspiracy by the fake media. The fake media out there, whoever the fuck they are, You notice how they never define who the fake media is? I guess when they say the fake media, they mean everything that isn't Fox News or whatever. Like all of the actual media that actually tells the truth once in a while. The CNN, MSNBC, the news networks. Things like Rolling Stone and the New York Times and shit like that. The places where you actually get actual somewhat objective news once in a while, that's the fake media. Right. How the fuck... I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if you just think about how the fuck does the media force Chick-fil-A to, like, hire a diversity guy? Nobody forced them to fucking do anything. I don't know. Don't try to think about it, folks. It'll make your head hurt. Moving on. Unjectedblood.com. Sad, I really enjoyed their food and their Christian values, but I enjoy my integrity even more. I'm afraid to go see what unjectedblood.com actually is. Kind of sounds like an anti-vax thing to me. And it really shows how, I think that kind of demonstrates how Christian conservatives just do not think about anything, like, at all. They don't actually take evidence and, like, judge actual proof and evidence of, like, real things when they make decisions. They live purely based on what makes them feel good. That's what it sounds to me. It's like, I don't know, integrity. Like, the fuck out of here. Now, of course, we have our favorite Twitter asshole, DC Drano. DC Drano is a entertainment lawyer who's connected to TPUSA. Does Chick-fil-A deserve a full-blown Bud Light boycott? In my opinion, no. Do they deserve some heat and criticism for bending the knee to the woke agenda and creating a Marxist DEI position that engages in racial discrimination? In my opinion, yes. Let's see their next move. So, I always love how this guy in particular always frames things in the most extreme way possible. Look at what he just said. Creating a Marxist DEI position. What exactly about that statement that we read is Marxist? Does it say anywhere? I mean, I read it to you guys here. Did it say anything in there at all about, say, the workers seizing the means of production or eliminating a class, us living in a classless society or anything like that at all? Did it say anything like that? What it sounds, it's in real life, it's the exact opposite of what DC Drano was saying here. Chick-fil-A is a corporation that is engaging in capitalism. That's what corporations are for. Corporations are legal entities that are created specifically to shield the stakeholders from legal, to basically shield them legally. So when you sue the corporation, you're suing the fictitious person of the corporation and not, for example, the CEO or the shareholders or anything like that. So that's what a corporation is there for. So let's say, for example, you go to Chick-fil-A and you buy a sandwich and you bite into it and there's a tumor in the sandwich and you accidentally swallow half of it, right? And then you sue them being, hey, your fucking chicken has tumors in it. You're not actually suing the CEO of Chick-fil-A. You're suing the legal entity of Chick-fil-A. So it gives a shield, it gives protection. So that way their personal assets and shit aren't up for deal. And it gets abused all the time. You'll see, for example, of people, they'll say, oh, you have to sue this corporation. Oh, well, you won. Well, that corporation doesn't have any money, like stuff like that. So I'm not saying that's like, it's like moral or that we should allow it, but that's what corporations are. Corporations are a function of capitalism. It's the exact opposite of what this guy DC Drano is saying. There's actually nothing Marxist about having a diversity VP. What does that guy do? What does he do? Does he actually go out and hire like non-white people to work at Chick-fil-A? Most likely not. That would be the purview of the HR department, right? His job, that guy, like their VP of DEI, his job is basically it's a PR position. Maybe they might actually do some hiring. Maybe they might try to go recruit people to work in their stores or whatever, who are non-white or something like that. But what it is, it's a PR position to basically craft public relations so that Chick-fil-A looks like they're diverse, so that Chick-fil-A looks like they care about diversity, they care about equity. Basically, it's corporate propaganda is what the guy is. That's too much for fucking DC Drano here. DC Drano turns out straight up says it's straight up Marxist. And that it engages in racial discrimination. What fucking discrimination is there? Like, at all? Like, it's a rationale that falls apart under the smallest bit of scrutiny. Like what? I guess I'm assuming he means it's like, discriminatory against white people. Why? Why? It's like when people say things like affirmative action discriminates against white people. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. If you go to a college, and let's say the college has 100 seats, and 2 of those seats, they try to go out and recruit people who from minority populations to be in that seat. You have 98 other seats to compete for. You're not competing for those 2 seats at all. It's not discrimination. And there's what they'll say is like, well, I was good enough, but I didn't get in because that seat was taken by someone who wasn't qualified. It's like, well, no, someone who's not qualified doesn't go to the college. Like, Chick-fil-A is not going to hire someone who's not qualified. But what will they do? They'll say, well, maybe we'll try to recruit someone once in a while. who's maybe a black or a Latino person or something. Maybe we'll go out and try to recruit one of those people, right, on purpose. How is that discriminatory? It's like the opposite of discrimination. And you say, well, a white person can't get that. That means we're discriminating against white people. That white person can't get that position. Like, all of the other positions in the company are open as well. You could get any one of those other positions. And there's no reason to say that Chick-fil-A might go, well, we have some non-white candidates, but this guy over here is like dynamite and we want him and he happens to be white. They'll hire that guy, right? That's how these things work. And you got to remember, a corporation they don't actually care about diversity. Like, if they get like a guy who's white and he's like super awesome and they want him and he's got the experience, he wants, he's negotiated a good wage or whatever, right? He's like exactly what they want for that position. They'll take him regardless of the fucking racial, effort or not. They'll just open up a different position for somebody else. Say, okay, well, in this other position, try to hire someone who's, that's how it'll work, right? Because, once again, they're a corporation engaging in capitalism. They want the best people because they'll make more money. That's how it works, okay? So diversity, there is no such thing as diversity hires. No such thing at all. You guys got to remember that. There's no such thing as a diversity hire. No company, rather, let's put it this way. No company that's actually worth anything, that's being run correctly, engages in diversity hiring. They don't. All right? No, they only hire the people who are qualified. You would be stupid to not hire someone who's qualified. And if that person who's qualified happens to be not white, then it makes your company look good. Right? So that's what this is. It's not discriminatory against white people to hire a black person who's qualified for a position. It just isn't. These people can't wrap their heads around this. DC Drano and all of his other followers and shit, they can't understand this. They just see things in terms of black and white because they're fascists. That's what we're fighting against. This is fascism, folks. Bending the knee to the woke agenda. Simply going out and trying to hire people, qualified people, who are the wrong skin color is all it takes now in order to have the conservatives lose their fucking minds and boycott you. Which one of these is actually like, who's got the actual agenda here? Because do you give a fuck? Like, I can't remember the last time the left actually engaged in a real boycott. I don't think it's ever happened in my lifetime. I know that it has happened in the past. They did have things like boycotts during the, civil rights era and stuff like that. But I don't think there's actually been a genuine, bona fide, actual real life left-wing boycott in this country like that. I can remember ever happening that lasted, that actually made a difference. No, it's boycotts are like, but the right-wing boycott shit constantly. All the time, even before this stuff with Bud Light and Target and now Chick-fil-A. They boycott fucking everything. They boycotted Disney for years and years and years. They boycotted Keurig, right? I mean, so this is not a new phenomenon here, which this is why it's like, and here's the other thing, folks, like, boycotts rarely work. Because you need to have, like, especially against a giant fucking corporation like Target, or Chick-fil-A or something like that. A corporation like Target, for example, like, what did we say the other day? They have somewhere in the area of, like, they're worth something like $65 billion. A bunch of morons and, on Twitter deciding not to shop there. It's not going to make any fucking difference. These bunch of fucking idiots not going to Chick-fil-A for a week is not going to make any fucking difference. The same way that, the left wing tried to boycott Chick-fil-A and it didn't make any difference. They're still around. Because most people just don't give a shit. I mean, most people just do not give a fuck when it comes to these things. They just don't care. They're going to shop where they want to shop. They're going to eat where they want to eat. They don't give a fuck. Because most people don't care about politics. Right? So, really what all of these boycotts and shit is, it's a way for content creators to make money. That's what this really is. It's so the Charlie Kirks and the DC Dranos and the Ben Shapiros and shit can go out and rile people up and get their fucking hate clicks. That's all the shit is. That's all. It's just fucking another front in the dumbass fucking culture war being fought by conservative talking head grifter assholes who are exploiting their own customers in order to make a buck off of their rage. It's pathetic. Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.